Yeah, I just enabled the live stream. Did you see that?
It works.
Thanks, Payman. So let me start sharing the screen. Just a second. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah, I can. Yep.
Okay, great. So let's start today's committee meeting. We have two topics to discuss. They are both added by me. The first one is about notation CLI v1.0.0 release. So at least the 3 steps we need to do. So I think during this meeting, let's review and finalize the release note for notation CLI v1 release. And the release notes, I mean the GitHub release. Then after we all align on the release notes and maybe should we need to do some updates if needed, then today we can cut the official release for the notation CLI v1. And then we can continue to announce this in the Slack channel. And the second topic is about that what we need to do right after the notation CLI v1 release, which includes some updates on the website, and also we still need another round for the review on the v1 blog. So Samuel, we also need to take a second look on this blog. And we also have some other PRs we discussed previously, that we have 2 PRs opening around the notation v1 release, and after v1 release, we will merge those PRs. So I also list here. Then we also have this issue we addressed weeks ago, that we think that after notation CLI v1 release, we needed to provide the installer for Mac OS and Windows. So we needed to file a corresponding PR according to the installer repository. Okay, so let's start the first one. I think I already opened this release notes. Yeah, this release note is was prepared by Shui. I'm not sure whether Samuel, Todi, or Sajay, you have reviewed this. Should we go through the list? Go through the content now. So basically, the release notes contains a general information for the announcement for notation CLI v1, and also list the key features, experimental features, and the security audit. And after that, there are sections listed the changes comparing with previous RC7 release. So this is the structure of the release notes.
Yeah, I think let's take a minute or two to read through it. Because I remember I reviewed one by Feynman. This is not the same one.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, let me explain that. Thanks, Samuel. The one you reviewed is the blog posts, which actually is similar to the system release, as you mentioned in previous meeting. So that blog included not only the notation CLI v1, but also the libraries and also the Notary project specifications. So that is about the blog announcement in the website. So this one is for notation CLI. Let me open that. For the CLI only, so for each repository, when we cut a release, here you see on the screen,
Yep.
Yeah, there will be some release notes here. So what we what we are going to review is the release notes for the specific repository notation CLI.
Yeah, I think if this is a very critical item, let's just review it. I can review in the next 5 minutes. If everybody wants to do that, if they've done it, then let me do a speed read of it.
Should we review it together? Walk through all the items.
Yes, just let everyone to have 5 minutes to read it through. So that we can just finish the release note in this meeting, so that I can start releasing directly after this meeting.
Okay, great. Yeah, I also provided comments, and should we already resolve that? I saw a comment from Sajay. Sajay also reviewed it. So let's spend several minutes to review these release notes and finalize that.
I have a quick comment on this second paragraph. If you're reading it together, while most features are stable, this paragraph, I think somebody can misconstrue that we should not use notation in production environments. If you can just reword this line to make it very, very clear that we are saying experimental features should not be used in the production environment. Because it's just one sentence, somebody can misread it. So that's just one feedback.
Makes sense. Yeah, we just want to call out notation experimental equal to 1 is for experimental features only.
Yes, and
Okay.
and we don't want to hint that because that's one sentence. Any stable feature they should use in production, right? We are fine with that. It's only the experimental we don't want them to use in production.
Great.
Samuel, do you have a suggestion to update or rephrase this?
I do, but I couldn't add it in the HackMD. I couldn't find a way to leave a comment there.
So maybe you can leave it on the chat so that Shui can pick it up.
I just updated it. So okay, just let me share another link so that the change will be reflected in live stream. So you can just click the link in chat window.
Sure.
Yeah, that looks good. Yeah, that looks good. I just refreshed my screen. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit slow. Okay.
So I changed it to just experimental features are intended for testing and evaluation purposes only and should not be used in the production environment. Experimental features can be enabled by setting the environment variable, notice experimental equals to 1.
Yeah, great. So I scroll down.
This third bullet, compatible with distribution spec. This is an experimental feature, right? This third bullet.
Pardon?
This third bullet under the sign, under key features, the first bullet is sign and verify artifact. Within that, the third sub bullet, compatible with distribution spec.
You mean this one, Samuel?
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
item. Yeah.
Is this an experimental feature, right? This is like, what are we implying here? When you say limited to reference text schema,
Yeah, no, this is not experimental. This means a notation V1 release, we are compatible with distribution spec on the referrals tag schema, on the support for the referrals tag schema.
so here's my concern with that, right? If we say this, that we are compatible with 1.1 versions, somebody might misconstrue, oh, that means we are not compatible with v1.0. So I think we are compatible with v1.0 as well.
I see. So would it be better to call out that compliant with v1.0 of the spec, and in the experimental features you can call out that it also works with the RC versions of image and distribution?
I definitely wouldn't call out we are compatible with v1.0, and
Okay.
but I believe the v1.1 features or v1.1 of image and distribution specs work without the experimental flag, right?
Correct. So the referrer tag schema works without the flag because it is using all the capabilities of 1.10. I mean 1.0, but it's inside the distribution spec RC3. So it's kind of I don't know, like this is within the release notes off notation. It's a detail that is called out here. So somebody has to squint to kind of like figure it out anyway. It would be better explained in the docs rather than in the release notes, but
okay, so how about we just say compatible with image spec v1.0 and image spec and distribution spec v1.0 as well? We just add one more line. If that is true. If that's not true, then we shouldn't have that line.
yeah, so about that, maybe we can call out compatible with image spec v1.0.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think for these two items, we needed to add additional image. For example, for the second one is image spec v1.0, and also for the third, we add the distribution spec v1.0, right? And we keep the rest.
I'm actually confused why we are seeing 1.0.
Stevie, my understanding is that notation will work with a 1.0 based registry as well.
Not really. For example, Docker Hub is a 1.0 registry, but it does not support subject field. So if we upload or push any manifest with subject, it will fail. So that means we cannot.
So sure, that might be, it depends on how you read the spec, right? Technically, the subject field should not be rejected because the 1.0 spec has extensions. So you should be able to add a property in there. Docker Hub is doing a unique thing by actually guarding that property. Technically speaking, you should be able to use it. Whether it saves the subject as a referrer or not is a separate thing.
So I mean that we should just make it 1.0.2.
That's fine.
Okay, I just made an update. So is that fine? That's the latest version of
the latest version of this. Yeah, that's the latest version, latest tag version of image spec. That seems fair.
Yes. And how about the distribution spec?
Yeah, this referrer tag schema is in RC3. I think that is fine.
So we can keep it, right?
Yeah, I think Samir's ask was to make sure that we call out that we support a released version of the specification, and we also support without any experimental features, things like referrer tag schema. Samir, does that make sense?
Yes, but I'm still confused about the distribution spec version. So the distribution spec version 1.1 ORC3 only clarifies how to use the reference text schema. But somebody with an OCI registry implemented with distribution spec 1.0 can still
Okay.
use notation.
Okay. So I think what you want to, okay. So what I'm hearing is that you would like it to clarify that if you have a distribution spec 1.0, this works, right?
Yes, that's what I want to say. Yes, that it will work with a 1.0 based registry as well.
Yeah. So sure, maybe we can just call out both, like compliant with, just so that I think what Samir is hinting at is that if somebody comes to this release notes and wonders, hey, I have an OCI 1.0 registry, will this work? That question needs to be answered here somehow.
Yes.
Okay. Just let me change it. The latest one is 121.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, that works great. And if you want to add back image spec 1.1 RC3 as well, that's fine because it's compatible with all of them, right? So
Right.
if you want to add that back, I'm fine with that too.
Yes, because we are fully compliant with the distributed spec 1.0.1, so I use the word compliant instead of the compatible.
Yeah, but even on this on the image spec version, I noticed you removed the 1.1.RC3, right? You can add that back as well if you want to. You had
Yes, yeah. Sorry. Yeah, I agree with Samuel. We can add back that image spec v1.1.0 RC3.
That would be in the third bullet point or after the third bullet, or after the second bullet point. So the first two are very clear. It looks nice, like it's compatible with image spec 1.0 and it's compatible with distribution spec 1.0. We can add a third bullet point there, maybe saying that yes, it works with the previous statement, which was compatible with image spec RC4 or RC3, whichever you had before.
I think it's RC4 because we're saying compatible. That means we are compatible with the latest one.
Okay, whichever you want. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, this is the release notes, and if we do make if you feel like there's more to add, we can always add to it.
Yeah, because the release notes can be edited after the release.
Yeah, that's true. Okay. Samuel, is this okay for you?
Yes, this looks good. Yeah, this looks good. Yeah, anytime we mention a OCI registry version, I just want to be very clear it works with everything. We have spent so much time trying to make it work with everything out there, right? So, okay, this is good.
Okay.
I jumped ahead. I've read through till other changes. My next comments are on the other changes. Let's see if anybody has any other comments before other changes. Somebody had a comment on experimental feature. I see this thing on the right. Yeah, what's this comment here? Spec is not supported yet. Oh, inspect using the experimental feature. Okay. That makes sense. My next comment is in the other changes in the what's changed since RC.7. So if you come down to scroll down to what's changed since RC.7, in the other changes, we mentioned minor security improvements. I think if we say that, we need to probably be very explicit about any security improvement. And this 709 doesn't even show up in the detailed commits. If I search for 709, it doesn't show up.
709 is the issue number. So the related commit is the 746.
So let's probably call that out. Otherwise, if somebody looks for information, what is that?
Yeah, so this one. So just let me add. Let me also add this PR number to just besides the 709, so someone can just read it.
Yeah. So I wasn't tracking 710. Let me read what 710 is.
Do we need to, sorry, do we need to highlight these PR numbers because we don't do that for the other items? Why we need to specifically mention for this item?
We don't have to, but anytime you put security improvement, you have to be very clear as to what security improvement you have done, right? Because we have done our security audit already. And if you're making a security improvement, let's call out exactly what that is. So
Is it okay if you just link the PR numbers here instead of the issue numbers? Because we call out the commits, commits are kind of like the truth of what we're going to ship anyway, right? Issues are.
Yeah, sure. I just updated to the PR number, and in the PR description, it has the issue number. By the way, GitHub will automatically add a link to the issue, so it won't show in the Hackdown MD.
Okay.
yeah, I have no other comments.
So we are good with this raised notes.
Yeah, and as like Sajay said, if you find something, we'll come back and fix it. But if the detailed commits are auto-generated, then I'm good with this. Oh, well, hang on, one more comment. The documentation improvements. The documentation improvements were done to notation CLI, or like the second bullet in other changes, or was it done for different repo, right? When we say documentation improvement, what do we mean? The second bullet below security improvement.
Maybe that's that. Yeah, maybe we should remove that.
That's actually I generated kind of from the detailed commit, so it has a doc, so that's why I have the documentation improvement there.
I don't think so. That one belongs here, right? Sajay, what do you think? If that's for the rebranding, we don't have to include that.
Yeah,
here.
no, yeah, I think that's fine. I mean, minor README improvements. This is a summarized high-level thing, right? That we wanted to kind of highlight about it.
Yeah. So, do we want to keep the documentation improvement or not?
I would recommend like removing that bullet. I mean, if people want to see detailed commits and README updates and Markdown updates, it's there, so it's okay. I mean, the high-level things that you called out is like really impressive, right? Like you have security improvements over there. There's better E2E. There's debug and tracing and dependency updates. I think those are the high-level stuff, and everything else is there in the detailed ones. That's my recommendation.
Yeah, I just removed that entry. Sounds good.
Yep.
Okay, I think this comments was resolved, right? Yeah. Okay, so we are good.
Good for now. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Shui
Yeah.
and Samuel for the comments.
Yeah, and I will start release after this meeting.
We already have
Okay.
a tag, right? We already have the tag done. Are you going to retag using the existing tag or create a new tag? On the main line?
We have a vote PR, and I will merge that PR first after this meeting directly. And in that PR, there's a git commit, and I will tag that git commit as v1.0.0.
Sounds good. Thanks. Sorry, I was trying to be pedantic on purpose because others were not on the call. They can see what we're doing. Thanks.
Yep. We took a lot of effort to make sure that the tree is not touched from the vote and things like that. So
Yeah, I'm also sharing this PR on the screen so Samuel can see. We have the details under this PR and we have the approvals. Yeah.
Yep. I see that.
Okay, let me close this one. Go back. Oh, okay, so we finished the first topic. So basically, we are good to cut the notation CRV1 release. And Shui will do it after this meeting. So the next item is about a couple of PRs we needed to review or take a second look for some PRs. So some of them I expect Samuel or Pridesh to take a look. Let me open it one by one. For the first one is about this website banner. So actually, after we cut the 1.0 release, we needed to update the website, this panel. Yeah, this one, this PR needed to review and merge. And also the V1 blog, I left, I saw that Samuel, you approved this blog here, but I left some other comments. I think Feynman resolved those comments. So this PR needs you to take another look.
I will, but just thinking about it now, if this is the system release version, then we shouldn't call it notation release block, or should we call it the Notary project v1.0 release block? Because now it includes notation and the specifications.
that might be correct. Yes, makes sense.
Yeah, so yes, this should be Notary project V1 release, right? This, if you mean system release, we changed the title. So maybe also we need to take a look on the content. Yeah, so maybe we also need to change some description about the first sentence.
We have to think about
Feynman.
it. Yeah, we have to think about it. We can't think about it on the fly, right? We have to think about how to say it, because if we say Notary project, then Notary project had some existing tools as well. So how to make sure we choose the words right?
Feynman, please.
Yeah, I'm thinking have a system release for V1 is not a sustainable release strategy, as we may have different release cadence for different sub-projects under Notary project organization. So for example, maybe in the next release, notation Go libraries or spec will have the different releases compared with the notation CLI. I think there is, I think only this time we have all those repos, all those sub-projects reaches the first V1, but after that, we will not have this system release. So I'm thinking we should still keep notation V1.0 and mention that we cover notation CLI, notation library, and also the spec this time.
Yeah, I'll have to think about what's the best way. I agree with you. I mean, like, you use it carefully. And because we don't have the doc writers on the call because they had an idea. Go ahead, Toddy.
Yeah, Toddy, please.
Yeah, I think we discussed that on several occasions, and we decided that we will do a system release right now for this release, and we'll figure out how we can do these splits later on after we actually start progressing. But now we are releasing everything at once, and that's why we would like to have an announcement that actually is for everything at once: specification, notation, CLI, notary, project libraries, and so on. So this is a one-time thing that we are doing because everything is released at once, and we would like to make a big announcement for this. So that was discussed on several meetings in the past. Let's just go with this plan because that's agreed upon plan. And after that, we will have when we, for example, have releases just of notation CLI or just of a library or just of a spec, we'll have separate ones. Unless there is a kind of major overhaul of everything that we are doing and we have kind of a release of a spec, notation CLI and libraries, which we call 2.0. Does that make sense for everybody?
I have a small concern around the system release. So sometimes, in general, Notary project, this term means the overall organization and all sub-projects under Notary project GitHub organization, right? So if we state Notary project V1.0, does it mean all sub-projects under this organization reaches V1.0? We have other projects which are not released yet. We have others repositories. I mean,
I think.
Go ahead, Sanjay. Yep.
So, Feynman, one thing I think is important is that we are calling out what is releasing in 1.0.
Mm-hmm.
There might be sub-projects, there might be repositories that are in different states. That is not a part of the system release. I don't think we cannot include the state of everything in a release. It just doesn't make sense. So in the previous calls, the idea was that Notary Project V1.0, as we call it today, has XYZ things, and this is what the release is. If somebody asks us to what about all these other projects and what about everything else, it is not a part of this release, is what I would say. So there's no ambiguity in my head at this point, but we could keep on discussing 5 different projects that maybe aren't a part of this, but we'll never make any progress. So I'm hoping that we can follow through with, no, this is what encompasses the specification on the CLI, and this is the state of the Notary project. And if there are questions along the way as to what about the other projects, we can point them to the different parts of the FAQs and all that are there. So I don't see a concern, but is there? Yeah.
Just to add to that, so I don't think we need to call this as V1.0 and 0. Or we can actually make the announcement that actually Notary project has a major kind of system release. In this system release, we have specification 1.0, notation 1.0, API or SDK 1.0, and so on, right? We do not need to actually put a version of the overall Notary project, and this is how we write the announcement. Okay, so we are not releasing the Notary project, the thing, but we have a major system release, and we are announcing Notary project announces system release, which includes this, and this. And this how the announcement, I think, should be structured.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. And I have a last question. So should we mention the renaming or rebranding in the blog post as we are as we are at the end of finalizing all of those renaming items?
That is a good point. I don't think we should say that we are renaming anything, because actually what we did is we clean up actually the branding, but it will be good maybe if we point to the FAQ that we have written and say like for kind of official we also kind of have official terminology established as part of this system release, and it is clarified in these FAQs. Any other opinion? Samir and Sajay and Shiwei?
I think pointing to the FAQ and is definitely a good strategy. Like everything is to find out more about the Notary project and the different terminologies, refer here might be a good thing to add.
Okay, we will not emphasize the renaming or rebranding in this blog post, and guide people, especially for new folks, to find the FAQ and learn those glossaries.
Yeah, I just want to be clear. It's not that we are not emphasizing the renaming or rebranding, and it is not that we are not talking about it. We should point the users clearly to find out details of the different components of Notary project. Go here, right? And that has the information about the rebranding. It has the information about what Notary V2 was and things like that, which we don't talk about. But
let me just make clear that we are on the same page. We are not renaming and rebranding anything. We just cleaned up the terminology, I think. So nothing is renamed or rebrand. Those names and brand, except the V2 part, which kind of was never documented. But those names and brands have been used throughout the kind of the last 5, 6 or years. And we just actually added clarity to the names and terminology that we are using under Notary project. So let's not talk about renaming and rebranding, because that is confusing. We just cleaned up the terminology and the names that we will use, and those are the names that we'll actually use forward.
Yeah.
If we write into the blog post we are renaming and rebranding, that will be very confusing. So let's try to avoid that.
Okay, clear.
Yeah. So as a summary, I think this blog post, we will, Fema, you need to rephrase this first sentence that Notary project has a major system release, including this different repository. Maybe we need to put the specification first, and then the libraries and the CLIs. And we can add a link to the user on the Notary project terminologies. If they want to learn more, we can add the FAQ, that specific session, if needed.
Yeah, there should be also a section about the specification, which is more important than notation. So, because the specification actually provides this kind of interoperability with other tools, as we already discussed. So
We can highlight the major updates from Notary project specifications.
Yeah. So if this is a system release, so the some sections we may need to change them or add more sections to show this is the system release. Okay, Samuel mentioned he will get back in a few minutes. Should we wait for Samuel?
I think we can keep going. If there's any input, maybe we can.
Okay. So I will take a note later that Freeman, you need to update the blog and also request Samuel to review it again. The next one is the release management, and I will also open the release checklist. This PR was agreed that once we have a V1 release, we will merge this PR. So we have enough approvals, we just need to merge it. For the release checklist, we have approval from Shui and Patrick. We also need Pritesh to review it. Sajay, please.
No, sorry, accident.
Oh, no problem. So for this release checklist, we need Pritesh or Minion to review it. So when Samuel is back, I will also seek Samuel's comments on this one. We have several website PRs, which is also related to clean up the naming. One is about the website meta. So when you copy the website link and paste, you will see the naming. So we need also to clean up that one. And also for our website, we have the overview, and the overview is already outdated. So we have a PR to update the overview and also clean up some naming issues. And also this one is from Zach previously. We also need to review this one. So it's better that we can get these 3 PRs reviewed and merged as soon as we cut the notation V1 release, so that users, when they open the website page, they will have a clean and up-to-date website. Okay, and the next is for the installer for the Mac and the Windows, because especially for the Mac homebrew, they all only accept the stable release. So now we have the stable release, so we can go ahead and create a PR to provide a homebrew installer for the Mac OS. The same case for the Windows installer. So any comments for the installers and also for other PRs? Let me check when the Samuel is back.
Yes.
Sorry, Samuel.
Yes, I'm back now. I had to go catch a
Okay.
shuttle. So yes, I'm back.
Okay, so we just talk about some post V1 PRs. Those PRs are important. So some PRs we can just merge, for example, for the release management, but for some other PRs, we also need, for the website PRs, we need you to review that. And for the release checklist, we need Pritesh to review it.
Yeah, I checked. So Pritesh is on vacation today. I don't know if he'll be here tomorrow, but these might have to wait till tomorrow.
Let me check for this release checklist is on the notation repo. So if Pritesh is not available, maybe we can ask a meeting to review it.
Yeah, we could ask him. Yeah, just tag him because I'm not a maintainer of this repo. So tag Milind if he can review it.
Yeah, so yeah, I will take one note that I will tag Pritesh and the meeting for review this one. And also for the website, besides the blog, we also have 3 PRs. So in total, 4 PRs also need you to review that.
Okay, 3 for me and 1 for Pritesh and Milind, right? Yeah, these 3. Yeah, I think I've looked at them. I just have to
Yeah, I will take.
approve that.
I will write in the notes and share it out so that you can check the PRs that you need to review.
Thank you.
Yeah, basically just copy this from the agenda and we'll put the names behind it. Yeah, I will do that. Also, any other comments besides the PR review? Any comments on the installer, Samuel? If no, we can go ahead and just do that.
I'm going to ask a silly question. So we are only doing it for Mac and Windows because Linux ones are already there, or we don't need an installer for Linux.
Yeah, Linux is currently is still using the same way we do it today to either download from the according to the quick start, either download from the according to the link from the release page and install it. No installer because there are different Linux distributions and also the architectures. So that for Linux for now we don't have a specific installer.
Okay,
Freeman,
thanks.
please. Yeah, Freeman, please.
Yes, actually Linux installer is a little bit different since it has a lot of distributions, as he mentioned, and it has specific installation package managers and their platforms that we need to apply and submit. I think that is not very high priority than Mac and Windows. And there are a lot of efforts that we need to do for supporting different Linux distributions. I think that should be covered by the community if we have volunteers to help on that. For example, there are some Linux distributions like Snap, wget, or other Linux package managers. Yeah, Toddy.
Yeah, I am not sure how we prioritize that, but I will maybe disagree a little bit with the priority because most of the time, actually, people are using Linux to build container images. However, I have a question. So Linux also can be supported through Brew. So maybe a very small win for us can be if we add the package, also the Linux packages to Brew, and can be installed through Brew on Linux machines. Of course, I agree with Feynman that once we actually have the release, we can go and actually create work items to support maybe the more prominent package managers, like, for example, Debian and RPM. I don't think that we need to support every Linux distro, but at least the major ones we should take a look at.
So we will consider the Brew installer for Linux. Okay,
Yeah, I think, let me ask the question differently, right? Are these installers needed? Because the more artifacts we have, the more things we'll have to maintain going forward and make sure they work with every release. And if we add more capabilities over time, will it help most of our customers having these or just some of the customers? Basically, what I'm trying to ask is this diminishing returns for us to add these installers right now? In the sense that, and I don't know what percentage of people will use an installer versus directly the notation binary.
So Samir, it is actually, I will answer this one maybe from my point of view. The first problem is like, if you go and start downloading the binaries directly from the website, for example, you may hit some usability issues on macOS, right? That's kind of the one thing, and they are easily worked around, but at the end of the day, right, just pulling libraries using wget or Kuro is not something that at least we recommend to our customers. Which means that that's kind of the one part. When you have, for example, things like, let's say, brew or package managers, you at least have some kind of quality gate that those package managers can enforce. And in the future, we are hoping that they also can enforce signatures and validation of those signatures, or at least the industry is going in that direction. So the idea is, like, we are supply chain or software supply chain product, we should kind of have at least have our installers follow some best practices for that. That's where I'm coming from. Both kind of usability stuff, I kind of very rarely and kind of a little bit skeptical when I need to go and download the binary from internet using wget. I prefer to use package managers, at least is some assurance that somebody actually did maybe some check on this binary, not guaranteed, but maybe. And the second thing is, like, enforcing like signatures with wget is like, before this runs up, I need to go a bunch of other stuff. So ideally, I would like everything to be validated when I install it. The other thing is, like, just downloading the binary is not enough. Actually, kind of this is coming back to the usability stuff. When I do an installer, I also would like, for example, all the necessary folders to be set up. Now I need to go and manually create plugins folder, trust policy, blah, blah, all the other stuff. I hope that in the future, when I actually install something, all these things will be actually created for me and stubbed. So I don't need to go and manually create trust policy, create the folders for the CAs and so on. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. I think that was the clincher, saying people still have to configure or create those other folders, because everything else you said, I will say that's a lift we still have to do. But I think creating the folders, yes, I have run into that as well. And everybody, thank you.
Yep.
That helps.
Yeah, thanks, Samuel, Todi. So for the last one, we will, as we just discussed, we will also consider the Broom for Linux. Okay, I will take note. So anything else we want to discuss? So I will write down the notes. The first one, sorry, Todi, please go ahead.
Yeah, I'm still not clear. So today is the 14th, and we said the kind of the system release will be on 14th. It seems that this is not happening today. When is happening? I'm not clear.
I think today we will cut the notation CLI with one release. And for the system release announcements, we needed to wait for the blog to be ready. Then we can officially announce that.
So what is the plan or the timeline for the blog?
So based on the discussion today, that's the blog, that's a Freeman you need to update and refresh it. And Samuel, please, you can also take a look. I'm not sure today or tomorrow. So once we resolved all the comments, we can review and merge it. So the earliest day, I think maybe tomorrow for the system release, which is August 15, I think.
Okay, let's try to get that done. Thanks.
Yeah, so today, after this meeting, Shui will go ahead and release notation CRV1. And this is the most important. And for Freeman, you needed to update the blog. And then Samuel will review it. Then tomorrow we will take a look and merge this blog. Then we can do the system release announcement. And for the other PRs, it will be a lower priority. Once we finish the announcement, we can continue to work on other PRs.
Okay, makes sense.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's the short summary, and I will put it on the notes. Thanks, everyone. We just on time.
Thanks, folks.
Have a nice day.
Nice day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.